Hello and welcome to the channel, YouTube world. I know that I've already discussed FNIX Rising and everything that it entails, kind of vaguely, because that's the information that was provided to us, and me included. Anyhow, here are the official patch notes with a little bit more detail, so if you want to read these at your own leisure, I will provide a link down in the description box. Let's get into it. It's summertime and we are kicking things off with the introduction of our second expansion, FNIX Rising. Like Alpine Unrest, the update alongside the expansion adds more to the game for everyone to enjoy, whether you decide to grab the expansion or not. There's a lot in this update as we put in new content alongside some improvements and bug fixes, so let's get into what's new. New expansion, FNIX Rising. Ostertorn has undergone, I butchered that, a significant change as FNIX starts to impose its influence on the land. The South Coast region is now dotted with a variety of machine structures that are in stark contrast to the once more traditional and peaceful landscape. There are also more signs of the battle that took place between the military and the machines in the early days of the uprising. Areas in the farmlands now show the scars of the battles that once took place there. Once again, we've added to the story of Generation Zero by introducing more missions as well as showcasing some new but familiar faces. We think you'll be happy to meet one of the more talkative ones who has some interesting theories. As FNIX continues to push itself, it's also evolved one of its machines again by upgrading the Harvester to the Apocalypse class. Like the other Apocalypse class machine, the Harvester brings with it some deadly attacks. Be particularly aware of its gas attack. It had a lot of eggs. And of course, this expansion also brings with it a bunch of other things for you to enjoy. More apparel items, collectibles, challenge trees, and achievements are included. And as you may have seen, we've also given you a new way to fight back against the machines, melee weapons. Utilize the Brandball, Bat, and the Sledgehammer to bash your way through the metal monstrosities that roam the lands. Additions and improvements, so what about the other bits that come with the update, the ones that you won't need to get the expansion for? Well, it's a mix of good stuff that we hope will improve the game for you. Both the Apocalypse class Harvester and the melee weapons have a chance to appear in the base game, but you'll not see them very often. There's also a brand new challenge tree to work through so that you can earn some rewards, and on top of that, we've also expanded apparel crafting another 4 tiers so that you have more and better ways to customize your gear. Take note, however, that there are now 3 new crafting materials that you'll need to gather: titanium, aluminum, tungsten. And for some of our long-term players, the inclusion of this ability to go prone will be welcome return. Okay, now for some of the improvements we've included, some of which is directly inspired by your feedback. We've toned down the difficulty across the board based on overwhelming player feedback. While still challenging, it won't be punishing. Keep feedback coming so that we can fine-tune this as best as possible, and I can vouch for that I felt it is much more doable. I feel like it's much more approachable, but it's not a cakewalk. So, and that's on adventure. I feel like it's really good, and anyways, I just find they're doing really well. The experimental KVM 59 has now been permanently added to the rival loot pool. Oh, I'm excited for that. Experimental weapon drop rates from rivals has been increased. Good, because they had reduced them. We've added an aim toggle option. The mission-based points of interest icons have been updated to make it more clear what the objectives are. We updated how the other team members are shown on the map to make it more visible for colorblind users. The stamina bar has been visually tweaked, and now your stamina has 2-second cooldown before it starts recovering after using stamina. Example, sprinting, melee swing. Bug fixes, UI, community report fixed an issue where sometimes after unequipping and re-equipping weapons, after loading the game, after the last patch, HUD slots would disappear. Community report fixed an issue where some locations did not register on the in-game map when discovered. Fixed an issue where your primary weapon would disappear from your HUD if you equipped and unequipped lots of attachments, then unequipped and re-equipped the primary weapon. Fixed an issue where a menu screen would be duplicated on top of another menu screen if you joined a multiplayer session while in that screen. Fixed an issue where icons would not be easily clickable if they were very near or stacked on each other in the map screen. Fixed an issue where the skill stamina amount was incorrectly reducing your stamina regeneration rate. Fixed an issue when trying to spawn at a safe house if other players are in the area due to the cursor selecting them instead of the drop-down options. Or where attachments were not showing on the weapon in a player's inventory but did appear in-game. Or where the vision mode selection while scoped would overlap with the equipment slots. Or where bunker missions would automatically override your current tracked mission. Or where sometimes the revive and abandon options would not appear when a player entered the down state. Or where on rare occasions a player could get stuck in a revive state if they tried to open the inventory at the same moment of death. Or where the screen would not entirely go black when falling into the water using a screen resolution other than 16:9, or where the damage over time icon would overlap with the stance icon, or where the icon shown when looting a crate would be different than what is shown in the storage box, or where sounds were not playing when in the collectibles menu. You see what I did there? That was me trying to be funny. Fixed issues where the AND symbol for all languages and the pound key symbol in simplified Chinese and Japanese and the left arrow symbol in French were not correctly being rebound. Fixed a few issues of missing text strings for locations. When it comes to missions, fixed an issue with Break of Dawn where sometimes it would take a while for the ammo box to respawn, or with Break of Dawn where sometimes enemies would not spawn with the correct POI icon over their head, or with Break of Dawn again, where the mission icon would stay above the Irtavik safe house, I butchered that, even after everything was completed. Fixed an issue with Nothing But the Snow where sometimes hunters would not spawn, or with hogging supplies and arms race using the wrong mission icon type. When it comes to machines, fixed an issue where machine corpses were floating away or levitating. It was me doing that. Fixed an issue where the experimental KVM-59's electricity would knock a machine out its EMP'd state. Fixed an issue where sometimes rivals would not spawn even when the proper conditions were met, or where sometimes a machine that was destroyed by a Granatgewehr, a rocket launcher, would have its debris turn pure black before despawning, or where sometimes a tank would get stuck alternating between two animation states and would never fire. Or where sometimes the tank would not engage with players who were attacking it from extreme distances. Or where the tank's concussion attack range didn't match the VFX. Or where the tank's missile attack would fire but not land if the player was too far away. Or where sometimes the tank would not play hit reaction VFX. Or where sometimes a harvester could not call in reinforcements, or where the harvester's launcher VFX were not synchronized with weapon firing. World fixed an issue where heavy fog was present in part of the South Coast region. Fixed an issue in intense light being seen in the Torresberga fortress. Fixed several issues where an item or loot crate could not be looted due to its placement in the world, or where Elsa was spawning in the wrong place. Maybe she needed a break. Or where a hole in the world allowed players to go underneath the Minkin bunker. I know nothing about that. Or an issue with floating lanterns in the archipelago region, where sometimes loot crates could spawn on top of each other. Or where the storage box interaction icon was constantly showing up from a long distance at Divik Safe House. Or an issue with the fire damage area being too large near the burning wreckage in the South Coast region while the fire spreads. Or where a window in Boobruk AB could be broken but not shot through. Stamina recharge not being applied when the player is moving, so they fixed an issue with that. Fixed an issue with the Bjork car where the wrong hood was used. Some various collision issues, LOD issues, floating object issues, and world texture issues. In general, fixed an issue where sprint sometimes would stop working properly. He got tired. Or where players were incorrectly able to loot shaft rounds for the Granatgewehr. God, I don't know Sweden. Je juste parler français, le calculosport, a little bit of Spanish, and, English. Anyhow, fixed an issue where sometimes players with older save files would log in and instantly be encumbered. well, 2 save files is really heavy. Fixed an issue with the crazy makeup face paint would sometimes flicker for other players in a multiplayer session, causing seizures. No, I'm just kidding. Fixed an issue where the eye patch pirate apparel would blink along with the player. That's kind of creepy, I like it. Or some issues with silenced weapons not using the proper sound variation depending on how close another player was to the weapon, or an issue where the electricity VFX on the experimental KVM-59 was incorrectly attached to the weapon barrel, or where sometimes deployable tick pods would not deploy a tick. I have no problems with that. Or an issue where friendly ticks would often explode too far away from an enemy to effectively do damage. Known issues. We're highlighting a few issues below that we know are pain points, so that you know we are investigating them. There are definitely more than are listed here, and we're looking into it. In some rare cases, all machines may not spawn in the first main mission where the sun sets. In FNIX Rising, a workaround is to recreate your game session, quit, then continue. In rare cases, if a host travels extremely far away from the truck and travels back, the truck will not respawn for the host. A workaround is to recreate your game session, quit the game, and then continue. In rare cases, a host may not see some machines, but the client players do. If players kill machines on top of places where the truck meant to spawn, the truck will be blocked from spawning. A workaround is to have all players fast travel away from the location together and recreate your game session, quit, then continue. The num and num star keys have issues with being rebound on German keyboards. In the Scout Challenge tree, Tier 4 off the grid will sometimes count the number of harvesters incorrectly, completing the challenge early. Sometimes a player's weapon will hang in the air after fast traveling away. That's how fast they ran. Destroying the sight organs of a tank does not impair its sight ability. Reinforced truck can be inadvertently push off course by players or machines, but it will reorient itself. Missions that require you to kill X amount of machines can be impacted by the number of players in the game, sometimes making the requirement go quicker than normal. Sporadically, melee weapons will not play their follow-up swing animation when repeatedly pressing the attack. Assigning Q to move left doesn't work when aiming down the sights or using binoculars. Some players are unable to complete the Hellmouth, and for the sick and injured due to machines not being correctly counted when destroyed. Some players are unable to complete Science of Deduction if they trigger the cave-in sequence before actually completing the mission. Some players may be unable to complete the Minkin Bunker mission even if they are able to gain access while having only 2 of 3 keys. A potential workaround is to restart your game session, close the program, and then relaunch. The Fashionista and its final countdown achievement do not always properly get awarded. Final note, while the update and expansion come to PC tomorrow, we're still working on getting them out on consoles ASAP. We currently don't have an exact date for you, but we will provide more concrete details once we have dates and feel comfortable that we can hit. Keep your eyes on your Facebook or Twitter page so you know as soon as we have more info. The Generation Zero team, and again, a great thanks to them for providing me with an early key. Anyhow, that's it for these patch notes. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like the video, go ahead and give it a thumbs down, and I'll just break it off in your ass. And if you want to subscribe to the channel, I mean, naturally, that would be great now. But if not, thanks for stopping by anyways. Take care, boys and girls, or whatever it is you identify as. And as always, hopefully I'll see at least some of you in the next video. Bye now.